That was me. Now I've got to ask myself that. Am I prepared to see my child not dominate, but enjoy himself with the principles of working hard, but with his own character? Or do I scream and shout everything and I'm like, run, jump, da 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 da?
There's more failures than there is wins. How many shots do you think Harry Kane misses? How many shots does Ronaldo miss? They miss more shots than they score. The percentages are low. You're going to have more failures.
Because we buy into this whole social media version of motivation and commitment, we believe innately that someone has...
Was the first guest to get on, and no one better than someone that I know. There was a professional footballer, got 2 kids in an academy. So there we are, Damian. Here we are, my friend. Here we are. So just for the audience and to get people to know you a little bit more, share a little bit about yourself and your journey. Like, how did you get into football? How young was you? Did you go through the academy system? I suppose it was quite different when you was younger, right, compared to now. Not showing your age there, man.
You know what, Mike, right? I didn't go through the academy system.
No? Okay.
But my brother did, right? But my brother did. So as much as I didn't go through it, I felt like I went through it because I saw him. Like, we lived in the same house. I saw his journey, right? But how I started playing football properly in about year 4. I played for like a local grassroots team. I would say that I was probably like one of the worst players in the team, you know. Picked it up quite quickly. You know, I'm fast, strong, good genetics, as they would say. And then I started taking it serious in my secondary school. I think a lot of kids can relate to that. More competitive. But even by serious, Mike, I mean like just wanting to play for a good Sunday team, not like trying going on the academy dream, right? And then as I finished school, I started playing for a strong grassroots men's team called Downham Tavern. Right? I mean strong, but they were pretty much a group of old vets. And it's crazy. I can't. I would say it's luck, but now I look back. When you're good at something, luck happens, right? I played a team against a team called Maidstone, and I ripped them apart, right? And that was actually the start of my journey. They were like, at the time, Maidstone were like Kent Prem, which is, I don't know, maybe step 7 or something. And that was the start of my journey, Mike. So no academy, no one-to-one, 4G. But like you said, man, that's 23, 24 years ago, right? So it's a complete different world now, right?
Yeah, completely different world now. You have academies, and then you have the advanced group, and then you have next group and the next group, and you're like, there's just these layers and layers and layers of different things, and I guess it get like massively overwhelming nowadays for people as to where they're at. Do you know what I mean? As well. Within the system.
Absolutely. Like before, and we spoke about this before, so we could go off on a complete different conversation. But
well, the podcast was a week ago when we spoke on the phone, wasn't it? We jumped on because like I always find these sort of things like it's a bit you're starting, where do you go? You got to look formal, make my pillars look good. We're on the phone, we're just bang, and I was just went to you. That's the podcast there, right? That was the podcast there. Yeah,
absolutely. But Mike, it's simply because we're two people that appreciate and understand high level performance, live it and breathe it. And I think that's one of the I don't have a problem with the academy system per se, one-to-ones or anything in that kind of like in that world, right? I have a problem with the delivery. I have a problem with the people delivering it, right? It's the false promises. People talking about elite, wouldn't know if it hit them on the head, like selling the professional dream. Yeah, so that's my thing, Mike. You know, when I look and I observe, you know, from a father that has 2 kids in the academy system, and from someone that's played the game, and also to this day still trains what I believe to be a high level, right? I think there's a lot of kidders out there, Mike. You know, it's just a lot of kidders, a lot of people seeing a very good opportunity to make £60 an hour. Right.
I agree, mate. I agree. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Like, we'll jump back onto where you went from this game of Maidstone, was it you played?
Yeah.
I do agree with you, and like it was one of the things that stopped me at the beginning of getting into football. Funny enough, like doing what I do with football, because I'm like, who are you to do this? You never played top level. You wasn't a professional. How can you help people? And you know, like some people, like everyone now talks about mindset, and I agree with you. Most of these people wouldn't know what mindset is if it jumped up and slapped them around the face. Like mindset for a lot of people is a little pat out the bum or telling people the obvious thing, right? Like, you know, you need to create an alter ego. You know, you need to be more like David Goggins or Kobe Bryant, and that kind of information. It's just all surface level. It's all surface level. And I agree with you, mate. I agree with you totally. Totally. We'll jump into that in a little bit, because let's keep on like that track of like what happened to you then when you tore this team apart. What happened there? Where'd you go from there?
So what happened is I got a guy. Well, a couple of teams reached out to me, but a guy in particular named Sammy Mudd. He was
Good name.
Yeah, good. He was the chairman of Greenwich Borough at the time, and he reached out to me. And to be honest, the reason why I was interested in it, he was offering me a lift to training, right? And I think it was 50 quid a week. And Mike, you know, for someone that wasn't chasing the academy dream or had no understanding of the pyramid, 50 quid a week, right? And getting dropped to training, bro, like no paying for training kit, all this stuff was new to me. So I was like, oh, why not, right? And to be honest, if I'm like going into that level, well, again, which was up, I don't know, step 7 at the time, I thought people were rubbish. I just thought they were rubbish, Mike. I thought they were like, I went in instantly and I played with them, and I just couldn't believe how poor the majority of them were, right? There were some good players there, but the vast majority of people weren't that good. There was a manager named Wayne Burnett, who used to play for Grimsby. I think he got a move to maybe Newcastle, and he took a liking to me. So when he moved to Fisher, he took me there and kept pushing me. He sent me on trial to Luton. He wanted to give me an insight to football. He really rated me. He's now the under-23 manager at Tottenham, and he swears by it that I was a Premier League player, but we'll get to that at another time. And yeah, Mike, I just kept collecting momentum. So I kept climbing the levels, and I didn't really find it difficult. And then I hit a point where I ended up at a team called Eastleigh, and I was in a rich vein of form, and Forest, Swansea, Southend were all interested in me. And Southend activated my buyout clause, and I ended up going to Southend. But the bit I'd like to add, Mike, right, is another thing that I think helped me was I just played football. There was no complications, right? There wasn't no like, it's a very complicated world at the moment in terms of football. There's kids that are making career decisions without focusing on just being good at football, right? And just like putting in hard hours and touching the ball a lot. And I think in that place, before I turned professional, that's all I did. I just played football a lot.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on this? I see this a lot. So you see a lot of the academy players or scholarship players, especially, and they've not got the contract. They've been released, and they're documenting their journey and stuff, and that's fine. There's social media. People are interested. They want to see the journey, but I just find like it's a massive distraction. I had this with one of my clients, and I just explored it with him. And I was like, look, I don't care what you do, but is this what you're doing serving you? Is it actually pushing you closer to what you say you want? Is your audio matching your video, right? Because it's easy to say what you want, but like they're setting up tripods and stuff, and they're sitting there filming themselves crying because they haven't got into the academy or the scholarship and stuff like that. And I just question that. It's like back in the day, people weren't doing that. They were just focused on football. And now you have like the social media, and again, I'm nothing against it, and it's great. I just find it like, and I spoke to one of my clients about it. I was like, what is it you're looking to get from that? What is it you're looking to get? Like, how is that serving you on your journey? You know, I'm just curious to know. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Damian?
So tough, man. So tough, Mike. I think the world, the era we came from, there wasn't an opportunity to explore it. So it's easy for us to sit here and say what is good or what you should and shouldn't be doing, right? You asked a good question. I think, where is it serving you? How much energy and time is it costing you, and where is it affecting you negatively? If you're let me cut to like, if you're filming yourself crying, I'm like, what are you looking from that? You know,
Yeah.
If you're putting in some hard hours and you're showing that you're training and it's taking up 20 seconds of your training time, like, good luck to you. You can share it with your mates. You know, it's motivational, brilliant. You know, do what you're doing, but I definitely think you have to recognize yourself as a footballer before an influencer and a YouTube. English boys that I meet inside, like, especially like this whole Cat 1 profile, right? Their obsession that worries me, their obsession is being academy footballer as opposed to being a footballer, right? And then the spin-off of that is, if you play for a Chelsea or Arsenal and you record content, you are now a influencer that makes content. That makes content about your football journey. You're not a footballer yet, bro. You're a 15-year-old boy that has a fan base, right? In 2 years, you could be in college at no academy, you know? So
Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree. I just think again, I do agree with you. Social media is a great tool. It is a great tool, and it's all about like, and I guess that's the beautiful thing about your journey, Damian. You didn't have that distraction. It was football, 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 football. Now it's the social media, and it's cool. Like some of my clients, they send me the videos of them training and stuff, and I love watching it. There's just some parts who's like, what is it you're looking to get from that? If you say to me, I like doing it because I want to get the attention, I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. There's no right or wrong, but is that the right use of your energy? I don't know. Is that the right use of your energy?
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree, man. It's I'd go again. It's like I feel sorry for some young kids because like parents, if they have parents that've never been involved in a sport at a high level, they don't realize it will get to a point where your talent means a lot less than you think it does. As a kid, being talented is like a real cool thing, innit? Like, like, oh, I've learned to do tricks before him. I'm faster and stronger and I run around more players before him. You'll get to a point where the only people left are the serious people. Like at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? Everybody's serious,
I love this. Is what we spoke about before. It's like the pyramid, isn't it? I love this. Yeah, go on.
Then you end up at 16, 17, 18 and you realise, whoa, where are all those serious ones? They're with the girls, they're influencers, they're TikTokers, right? And that you realise that what you was doing and the kids you were actually running around and doing this with you weren't serious. They were just people that facilitated spaces within this space itself, right? Oh, now we're left with dogs and people that want to make money out the game and people that work harder than me. So yeah, Mike, it's some. I do not blame these young kids, man. And it's very easy for us old guys to sit here and say social media is a distraction. It's not easy, is it? It's not easy to turn your eye to it, is it, Mike? So
no, and I've found it with my boy 10, who's 10, very very like he's talented. He just like given the option, it's like going to garden do keepy ups. He'll want to go and steal a brain rot, whatever it is they do nowadays on these computer games and that. And I'm like, it's at that point where I've tried pushing him. And it just had a negative effect. And I think that's one of the things, like, again, what's unique about your journey. You just played football. I don't know if you had anyone there really pushing you, but you just played football. You enjoyed your football. And I kind of find with my boys, and what I see with a lot of kids is when you're pushing too much and they don't want to do it, you can tell the ones that got that dog in them. And you can tell the ones that at the moment don't have that dog in them. And he doesn't have that dog in him at the moment. So I just leave him be.
So powerful, Mike. The moment, at the moment. What a power! Because we buy into this whole social media version of motivation and commitment. We believe innately that someone has dog in them and someone doesn't have dog in them. Like it's triggers that create this dog. If you would have seen me at 11 and then seen me at 22, then would have seen me at 30, you would have named or been able to describe 3 different people, 3 different kind of versions of me, right? And it was only experiences and that journey that turned me into a dog, right? And it just slowed down a little bit there. Can you see me, Mike?
Yeah, I can see you, buddy.
Okay. And so for me, like, I kind of offer my child that space to become a dog, but it's my duty and job to make sure that when they give me it, I push. I push. And another thing that I say about academies, man, like they're full of people that don't know how to push and haven't been pushed themselves. So when they talk about it, like it's just from this theoretical experience, right? So
yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And like you say, at the moment, that's the key thing. At the moment, doesn't have that dog at the moment. Maybe that will change. Maybe not. It's fine, whatever way, man. But so coming back to like yourself, so you went to Southend. And then what happened from there? So yeah, what happened from there? Because I guess when you went to Southend, they must have been in the old. Were they first division? They were close to the top flight at one point, weren't they?
Yeah, we was in League One. I went there and there were some really good players. Nicky Bailey, this guy went to Middlesbrough. We had Lee Barnard, he ended up at Southampton. Mark Gower ended up at Swansea in the Prem. Some really good players. I went there just after a guy named Freddie Eastwood, who ended up at Wolves, scored a quick goal against Man United.
So I used to play football at the field, Eversley Leisure Centre. There's a field there, and we used to go up there, and they used to call me the Canary because I had the bright yellow Tottenham kit on, and all the travellers used to come up there, and it was the Polecats versus the Skunks. That was the name of the 2 travellers teams, and Freddie Eastwood used to be there. His dad used to be there, right? And at the time, Freddie Eastwood was at Lake Norriam. Now, when I played with him, I was the best player on the pitch. I was the one that everyone wanted. I was older than him, but everyone would go, get him, get him, get him. And they called me the Canary. And I used to play up front with my Klinsmann 18 shirt on, thought I was Jurgen Klinsmann, right? And Freddie Eastwood used to play. And when he made it professional, I was like, my God, like you watched him in the field, like play. You could see he had a good shot, but it wasn't nothing that great. It wasn't nothing that great. And his dad once said to me, he said, you should come over to Lake Norrian and get a trial, right? He said, because if he could be in there, you could be in there. That was Freddie Eastwood's dad. Yeah. It's just crazy. That's crazy. But yeah. Polecat, I always remember it. Cats versus the Skunks. They used to turn up on their transit vans, all on the back shouting and all that. I used to play football. It was carnage, absolute carnage. I loved it, though. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went there when he just got sold to Wolves. You remember he scored that goal against Man United, but it was a really strong team.
Yeah.
And what actually happened is when I became a professional footballer is I switched off a little bit, Mike. I switched off a little bit. I stopped loving football and I started thinking, oh, I'm in the promised land. You know, I started thinking. So I stayed there for 2.5 years. They offered me a new deal. They got relegated. But I went to a team called Dagenham and Redbridge, which, with no disrespect to them, was probably the worst thing I could have done. They are like an old school non-league club that got 2 successive promotions. They done things very old school, right? And I needed more of like a professional football environment rather than like a group of. In the biggest respect, they're a group of mates that done really well at football, good footballers, right? But it was like more of like a band of brothers, you know. And for me at that time, I needed like a professional environment, you know, and someone to speak to me specifically about my journey, right? Anyway, we got relegated with Dagenham. I kind of had enough of football. It was, for me, the way they played football, I didn't enjoy it. And I've done the typical mercenary move. I moved to Eastleigh for some good money in non-league, right? Another bad move. I stayed there for 2 years, making money, started focusing on getting pay up, which is like, for all the young people watching this, man, please never develop this mentality. Is in football, like a lot of people look for pay ups because they can go and make money again straight away. So I was at, like, for example, at Eastleigh, I think I got a 12.5 grand pay up, but then the following week got a signing on fee at Southend and the same money again. And that was the start of the decline, Mike, you know, and then I ended up at Dulwich, Tunbridge, Bromley, just floating around, man. So.
And what do you feel shifted for you, like mentality-wise, mindset-wise? Was it that you was coming on a decline of your career, or was it just purely mentality, attitude and mindset?
So, Mike, I wasn't too good at communicating troubles, pains and trauma, you know? So I didn't know how to create a team for when I was losing, when things were going wrong. I didn't know how to communicate like my problems, my like both mentally and physically. So when I was losing, it was very hard for me to like have a real logical understanding. It was always just chaos, like winning or losing. So I always thought I was up and down. So when I'm something like coming out of the league for money is only an instantaneous high because I got some cash, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm 25 grand to the good right now, right? So, but I didn't realize how much of a dip it would be in 3 months. And then I looked for that same high again. You know, I'm like, oh, how do I get that cash again? You know, and I forgot, like I said before, I just played football.
Yeah.
Now football had to come with a result, like a high. You know, and this is no disrespect to the teams that I played for. That I didn't really give too much of a concern, right, to like team. I just always just wanted to play good for myself when I was coming up. Like I just went out on the pitch and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna terrorize. You know, so if we were losing or winning, I'll terrorize. The longer when it started becoming about other things, I fought too much. Does that make sense, Mike? I fought too much, and
and yeah, 100%. Like the mental activity, you start burning a lot more mental calories because you've got a lot more going on in the mind. Yeah. And this is, I often say this with people, and you know, most people ain't physically burnt out, they're mentally burnt out, and it feels physical because they've got so much on their mind. And the footballers I work with, you know, they've got their scholarships, so they're in academies. There's a lot of mental activity. Need to perform, I'm gonna get dropped, I won't get my chance, I won't get my scholarship, or I won't get signed. And when they come to me, there's so much going on in their head, and it's like we need to clear like the rubbish. It's like, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, it's like going to someone's house that's been a hoarder for 20 years. You open the door and it's just rubbish everywhere. And you're like, right, we just need to clear the rubbish. We need to clear space. We need to clear space and just fundamentally get back to what it is you're here for, and that's to play football. But they have so much going on, so I can totally understand that. Just the head gets busy with noise, right?
Absolutely, man. My two boys at the moment, as I said, we're in academies. I am so big on them playing football with freedom. So big. Like, don't think too much. Don't think too much. You know, don't like the results matter, your performance matter, but don't think too much. Like, don't think like a game is a game. You know, 90 minutes is 90 minutes. A training session is a training session. And when football, when a young person thinks of football as a career too early or as a business too early, it reflects in how they play. They take this low risk, lose their identity. You know, they buy clubs talk about philosophies, and kids should know the bare minimum about that. They should be free. They should be free, right? Like trying to embed a child into your philosophy too early, right? And then getting rid of them in 2 years. It sounds very, I talk to a lot of parents, I'm on the sideline, and I hear how they're like so anxious and they want their child to perform, right? And I think of when I talk about my children, I remove my insecurities. I'm like, think of the pain that I felt hoarding, the word you used, hoarding thoughts, like impressing dad. Impressing the coach.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to feel some level of disappointment if you don't play well. But it should be entirely about your personal standards.
Yeah, agree. One of the things I often say is if you feel disappointed, that's okay, but use it as an inward reflection of what it is you're disappointed with. What was your performance like? What was your effort like? What was your attitude like? I'm disappointed. Like a lot of them say, like, I'm disappointed I didn't score a goal. Okay, but you're not in control of whether you can score a goal. You can influence it, but you're not entirely in control of it. You're a striker, you have 5 world-class shots. The keeper might make 5 world-class saves, right? But what you are in control of is your effort, your attitude, your movement, getting into space. You miss a shot, how you recover and keep going, right? So, like, I totally agree, mate. I totally agree with that. And it becomes, they start putting pressure on themselves, like goals, how many goals they scored, how many assists they made, and, you know, and if you are disappointed, it's a great time to reflect backwards and look at, what is it I'm disappointed in? What was my effort like? What was my attitude like? Did my head drop? Did I let the negative self-talk take over? So yeah, totally, mate, totally. And you know, and I think we live in a world as well, Damon. I'd love to get your take on this because I know you bring your thing is about bringing up mentally tough kids, right? And I love that. Like, I watch your stuff and I love what you're doing with your kids and that. But I think we live in a world now where it's as long as they feel okay, it's like okay, but pressure's not a bad thing, and they do need pressure. Not too much because it'll break them, but enough to help them to grow. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Mike, we just too many weak people with things to say, man. It's oh man. Obviously, I appreciate the audience that's going to be listening, right? But who's telling us to be strong, right? Who's telling us this pressure is bad? Right? Who's actually that person? That's my first question, first and foremost. And secondly, right? I push with love. I push with love. I push with love. I push you harder because I see the benefits of what harder gets you. I don't push you out a sadistic like place where I want to see pain only. I push you because no, this raises the bar for you in life, not just football. So when we like this whole idea that kids are okay, you especially when we're talking about football, do you know okay gets you nowhere? That gets you absolutely okay isn't even Rhyme and Premier. The standard of Rhyme and Premier, like again, parents don't seem to understand. There are kids that were Cat 1 players up until they're 23 that aren't good enough to play Rhyme and Premier. You know, like look, go and see non-league and it's scattered full of kids that had 2-year pros at Cat 1 clubs that are sitting on the bench in non-league, right? Okay, so why is okay the benchmark? And secondly, like I said it previously, is other people's insecurities show up, right, in how you should handle your children. So, for example, the person saying, don't push too much, right? They don't push themselves. Like a lot of these coaches, this isn't aimed at every coach out there before we start bombarding Mike's podcast with messages, right?
That's right, I can handle it.
they don't understand. They're theorists, right? So they haven't pushed themselves. It's very PC. It's very politically correct, right? Right from the mannerisms of how we coach, right through to the physical side to it. So okay's not my thing. I don't want my child to be okay. Like what?
Yeah, definitely. And again, that is always one of the things I reflect back to when I'm talking to like people I work with and things like that, it's like just be mindful who's telling you this. Who's telling you this? Who's telling you this? You won't make a professional footballer. I don't know why you're putting all those eggs in those baskets. Who's telling you that? I'm not here to sell you a dream, but I'm just curious who's telling you that. Or you're going to be a professional footballer, you're going to be the best in the world. Who's telling you that? Like, it's just
Scares me. Mike, sorry for interrupting. What I'd like to add to that, right, is these coaches, these people in these positions, it's good. It'd be a good idea for people to ask questions to these coaches. Some of these people are in these positions for 2 years and then change career, right? Somebody like they're employed, like they try a career out and they move on. Like we're not talking about people that are hardened into the game, people that have lived. I'm big on the love of the game. The love on the game, people that have loved the game. So just because you haven't played professional football, that doesn't mean you don't know more than me. But you should have some credentials that validate it. For example, do you love the game? Do you read the game? Have you been reading? Have you been in the environments? Have you spoke to people? Do you understand? Like, and then if someone hasn't done that and they're telling you how to be a pro, or you're not a pro, or you're not of a level, the same people that tell you it's all right, man. He's okay. Like it's all right, man. Don't push too hard. I'm like.
I see a lot of that comes from own parents' insecurities and disappointments. Like they want, because they don't want that disappointment for their kid. They also don't want their kids to have that disappointment. But that is what builds character. Like I said to you on the call last week, I got one person that really sticks out to me to work with, and that person this has been released and they've had knockback after knockback, turning up to trials, doing really well. Knockback after knockback after knockback. And really our work was really just keeping this individual focused on what it is and just keeping them going, keeping them moving. They ended up getting a position and it wasn't exactly what they wanted, but I was like, cool, it gives us something to start with and work on. But what this person doesn't understand, because they're quite young, and I did say this to them, is I said, you don't understand how valuable these lessons are that you're learning and how mentally tough you actually really are. You don't see this, that you have had knockback after knockback and you've got back up, versus someone that's had smoke blown up their backside and it's been a cruise for them. And as soon as they get their first knockback, they crumble. They walk away from the game, So these lessons and these setbacks can be valuable lessons for individuals if they choose to use them as valuable lessons,
Totally, Mike. It's also like the social media thing is tough for these parents. You're in an echo chamber. You turn up, and all focus orientates around the kid that's the best at the moment. So everybody kind of like buys into the superstar. That's the pathway. His formula works. Whatever he does, we'll do. Right? The journey doesn't work like that. I treat my children. Obviously, we live in the same house. I treat my children as individuals. One of them has no problem doing X. He does. He has no problem doing Y. He gets a bit of stage fright. He doesn't. He picks up things easy. He doesn't. Listen, it doesn't mean my version of parenting is gonna ensure that they're gonna be Premier League players. But they'll be tough. They'll be resilient. They'll have character.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's what I see on your social media with you, with what you're building with them. I love that story. Like, with the garden, you built the football pitch in the garden, but but it's your responsibility as well to keep it clean and tidy, right? I cannot tell us about that. Because I've seen them boys out there picking leaves and shoveling leaves and that, and I'm like, I love that. It's freezing out there and they're out there shoveling leaves.
I can't give my children my adversity that I went through. Like my dad being an alcoholic, my mum's mental health, right? Them character building adversity. I'm not going to force that on my children, but I can give them tough. I can, and with love, I can give them cleaning up the garden if you want to play in it. I can give them tough run, a hill to run up. I can put weight on their back, right? I can do that with love. I say it's bad parenting if you don't. The other day, I took my son, he done a session, right? And then afterwards, we waited till everyone went. And I said, you're going to run up a hill, right? First and foremost, he said, why did you wait till everyone went? I said, I don't want you to run with other people. I want you to run alone. He's like, why? I said, it was harder. He's like, shrugged his shoulders. I said, do you want to do it? We've got this thing in my house, right? Where if he looks in my eyes and says, Dad, this is too much. I'll say, cool. All right. And then I'll consider it. He's never done it, by the way, right? He's cried before. I promise you, he's cried before. And I said, do you want to continue? And he says, yes, right? So I'll give him the option to voice it. So running up the hill anyway, I've recorded it. I like to share the journey, right? People might say, oh, man, social media, why I like to share my journey. I shared it. Someone that was at the session messaged me and said, do you think it's too much? He just done a session. Do you think it's too much? I said, it might have been.
Who knows?
It
Find
might have
out.
been.
Find out.
It might have been.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are we so scared of? It might have been.
Yeah.
What are we scared of, Mike?
So I share this. I share this because it's probably the most impactful moment of being a parent with a kid. Now, it's not involved in football, but it's that when to push and when to put. It's like the stick and the carrot, right? So when my eldest boy was 7, he wanted to get to the top of Ben Nevis with me. I went to Ben Nevis and he wanted to get to the top. All these people, when they found out, you can't take him up Ben Nevis, you can't take him up the mountain, it's dangerous. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. Like, I've been up there, but let's see. He won't get to the top of that. Let's see. Now, my 7-year-old is pretty robust. Well, he's not 7 now, he's 12. So we started climbing the mountain and he wanted to do it. And in the first 10 minutes, he was doing my head in, whinging and moaning. My legs are hurting. So I stopped. This is the stick. Turned around, I said, listen, you're climbing the mountain, your legs are going to hurt. Stop whinging. Stop giving your pain a voice. The more you focus on your legs are aching, the more it's going to ache. Stop complaining and moaning because you're doing my head in, right? We got a long walk. I said, and stop looking to the top of the mountain, right? That's where we're going. Be where your feet are now. Stop giving your pain a voice and be where your feet are now. And I said to him, there'll be people that'll be turning around coming down this mountain, not because they've broken a leg, but because they're mentally broken. They've given their pain a voice. Their legs are hurting. All right, he went. So off and then I'm struggling to keep up with him. I'm like, I should have given him that prep talk, right? So I'm struggling to keep up with him. He's gliding past people. We got through the clouds and we was 20 minutes from the top, right? And it was cold and it was rugged. It was horrible, right? Really cold. We got to the top and he stopped and he started crying. I went, what's the matter? He went, I don't want to go anymore. I'm done. I want to go down. I'm done. So I knew that in that moment, that first approach isn't going to work. So I got down my hands and knees. I looked him in the eyes. I said, listen, son. So if you give everything you've got, right? It's giving me goosebumps now, sharing this story, right? If you give everything you've got, we'll go down now. That's it. If you're done, we'll go down now. But if you've got a little bit more to give, we're about 15, 20 minutes from that top, right? If you could push on that little bit more, which I know you can, but it's up to you, we'll be at that top. And he looked at me and he went, let's push on. Let's push on. And he was crying and let's push on. And he pushed on and we got to the top of the mountain, right? On the way down the mountain, I'm in front of him blubbering like a baby because I've never had anyone achieve anything like that with me before. And it was great to achieve that. But that's kind of like that approach where there's a time for the stick and there's a time for the carrot, but it's all love. It's all love. It's all love. It's all love.
It's all love, man. It's all love, man. Listen, they share their wants and desires. And as a father, it's my job to ensure or do my best to guide you and to ensure you're tough enough to withstand the adversities that required to get them goals and them desires, right? But look, man, it's the thing. Like, it's the thing. Academy football isn't set up for everyone to make it, is it? There's one or two, the most each age group that they really want to make it.
Isn't that's what they say, don't they? They've got their eye on one or two. The rest are kind of just fillers to see how they progress. It's a lot. I've heard a lot of that.
Mike, I had a conversation with a Cat 1 Academy coach, right? Who's not coaching anymore. So he was he was telling me that in his age group, they wanted to release more, but the time and space that it took, the point they was at, would have been impossible to like replace the numbers for the new signing. So think of them parents and them kids in that moment. You're getting re-signed based around not that you're good enough, the fact that so that was just one instance. But even if people don't say it's true, the numbers show that it's true, right? The numbers show. They're saying like, I think it's like less than 1% of YTs play a professional game, right? So
I remember having this conversation with someone and he made a good point, but again, I thought it was good. So there was talking, and there's the guy, and he's got 4 kids, and all of them are in academies. One of them signed at QPR and that. And someone went, oh yeah, and we was having this conversation, and he went, yeah, the thing is, the percentages are so low. And he looked at him, and he went, do you know why the percentages are so low? He went, because it's the ones that are the 1% that do what the rest won't do. And I was like, He went, Mike, like, whether you like it or not, I liked it. He went, it's not an option for my kids. They are that 1%. And I was like, yeah, I like that. Someone else was like, nah, you're pushing them, you're doing this. I'm like, well, what's your take on that?
Listen, I say to my kids, if you stay fit, which is obviously there's a level of fortune, right? Not being injured, not breaking your leg, right? You're going to play professional football. Say it to them. Listen, I played professional football. Their uncles played professional football. Their nephews, their cousins signed for Leyton Orient. I say, you're going to play a level of football. Like, the level you play, there's a lot of fortune and stars aligning as to how far you go, right? You're going to earn money out of football. You're gonna like, if you do what Daddy says, we're gonna work harder than 99% of people.
Mm.
Like, what's going to stop you? Like, we're both heavy into our mindset, right? There's not a lot of people, right, that actually are willing to put in the work. Like, you know, like there's people that put in the work publicly. There's people that put in the work from 7, 8 year old to 11, 12 years old. There's not people that are willing to put in the work every single day for 20 years.
Mm. That's what we said on that call the other week, and you said that, didn't you? It's like a funnel, and you go 2 years, and you said at the beginning of the call 3 years. Oh, where's Jack gone? Oh, he's fell by the wayside. He got a bird. He's gone. Oh, where's he gone? Oh, he's gone off to do another job, and it's that. Are you willing to stay in the fight and keep fighting?
My eldest boy, he's saying that one of the best players that he remembers from last year is vaping now. I'm like, people don't even understand the long game. The whole idea of it and what people are selling kids about being good isn't true. It's like being patient, being a hustler, being a dog. You know, being a dog, being obsessed about the detail, like, you know, like that. Can you see yourself doing this without getting paid, going on trial at 19 because you've been released from a Cat 2, playing 50 games in non-league, ended up in the Championship, being top goal scorer, nicking and moved into the Prem? Can you see, or does it all have to be about Cat 1 highlights and playing under 23s football?
Yeah,
You know,
dog.
Mike, I used to have a heavy bitterness towards academies because I heard a few coaches and what they said, right? And I still believe these coaches do have a massive role to play. But it's the parents, man, from the expectations they create, their inexperience of how the journey looks, and it's not like this, and how they're communicating that to the child. Rejection is a bigger part of football than success. Most kids won't sign pro at 18. You won't win the league every year. You're not going to play for Chelsea yet.
Yeah. There's more failures than there is wins, right? You know, like, who is it? Like the Babe Ruth story, the baseball player, wasn't it? He had the best, record for home runs, but he also had the record for like most misses or something, wasn't it? Like, it's just like, you know, Michael Jordan as well. Like, it's littered with it. How many shots does... This is when you say to kids, like, when about scoring goals, how many shots do you think Harry Kane misses? How many shots does Ronaldo miss? They miss more shots than they score. Like, the percentages are low. You're going to have more failures. And I think that's the real, like, what you're teaching your kids there is that real resilience to be able to deal with setback. And it's not to be disappointed for setback, right? It's okay to be disappointed with setback. It's what I call getting back on the horse. How long are you going to stay in that setback for? Right? How long? The shorter we can get that, maybe it's a day. You've been released, you're disappointed. I often say, sit and sulk. If you want to sulk for a day, wallow in it, feel free. But any more than a day, then you're becoming a victim. We need to get back to work. Because you're a human being. You're allowed to do that.
You totally agree, man. Totally agree. Like, after the bad game or the bad moment, how long is it going to take you to get back on the horse? Like, get in. Can you behave like a Cat 1 player while in Sunday League football or non-league? Can you do it? Can you put your own routine together? Can you run up that hill without your teammates? Can you do that? But
I love that though. I love that though, that you got him to do it by himself, by his teammates.
By himself, man. But bro, made my kids run up school day. My 7-year-old boy, you lot can slate me for this. I said to my eldest boy, we're running tomorrow. My missus was in France. My 7-year-old boy, I've gone, bro, you're running tomorrow. Oh, he's like, guy running. He does everything his old brother does. Yeah, he's running. Got them on the hill. They were moaning for like 2 seconds, then they started racing. Your kids are moaning about it, right? Because the environment you've created is a moaning environment, right? And you moan about things, right? I'm excited about gym sessions, Mike. I get anxiety. I need to pee before I go gym. Mike,
I love that.
I'm 41 years old, right? I promise you, I look forward to gym sessions. And as I said, man, like, you see the best people in the world. Do you think Messi is a billionaire? Do you think he had to go to the World Cup? Do you think it was about money?
No. Again, I always remember that with Cristiano Ronaldo at one point when he said it was about money at the beginning. He said it's not about money now, and it hasn't been about money for a long time, you know. And I love this, and it's what Michael Jordan said. And Michael Jordan he said exactly what you said. You played football, you focused on football. Michael Jordan said, I didn't focus on sponsorships or anything. He said, I just focused on my craft and enjoying it and playing my craft, being really good. He said, everything else, I just waited for that to come to me. It was inevitable because of the work that I put in, you know? And if I was to say what the biggest distraction is with the people that I speak to that are in academies, their biggest distraction is, or wanting to get into an academy, is that focusing on wanting to get into a Cat 1 academy, being in an academy. And when they're in there, then they're worrying about staying in there. It's never about their football, their craft. And they start doing bare minimum because they're worrying about things that are outside their control.
Amen, man. There's kids in grassroots that are going to play more professional games than a Cat 1 player, 13, 14 years old. Be good at football. Be obsessed by it. Love the game, man. But like, make a relationship with the ball that other people don't, you know? Do things when other people aren't watching. Like,
Go on, buddy. Sorry.
I was going to say that Michael Jordan thing, he had something in his contract called a love for the game. Did you hear about it? Where
No.
He have a look here. He could stop he done an interview. He could stop anywhere at any time and play basketball. Like there was, you know, like a lot of these NBA players or sports people, they can't play recreationally. He could play a thing is called pickup. He could just stop, whether it was the middle of the season, the playoffs, he could play basketball. And Nike, Chicago Bulls couldn't say nothing to him. He just loved basketball.
It was that famous Tim Grove. You've heard of Tim Grove, haven't you?
Yeah.
The famous pickup games they used to have at training camps, wasn't it? When he was filming Space Jam, and then they'd have their pickup games, and they said they were legendary. Like just witnessing those pickup games, they said, and it was fun, but it was competitive. They were competitive, you know. So obviously mindful of time and coming to the end a little bit here. There's just a few other things to touch on, like. I know last time we spoke, you said you became that dad in the academy. Tell me about that, because we've all been that dad. I've certainly been that dad with my boy. Do you know? Here's the thing. Do you know when you're being that dad? It's when your kid makes a mistake and they look over at you to see if you're looking at them. You know you're being that dad then.
What, Mike? So I don't shout at I've pulled my child to the side before when he's like not put effort into it. I don't shout instructions to my children, like left, right. But I'll never forget was my youngest boy was at Fulham pre-academy, and I was going there, right? And you know, after 3 or 4 times, they're all coming over, you're talking to each other and that, yeah. And then I remember them talking about like the sessions they do outside. And then when I spoke to Vic, I was like, crew should be doing more outside, yeah. And then in my head, you go back on the train, I'm thinking, who am I listening to? Like, I'm listening to frigging John, whose son's pretty good now, like, and like what he does with his child, and that's going to influence me. And like in my head, I'm like, and then like, if my son, it got to a point where like, if he wasn't involved in a session, I'm thinking, maybe he's right. Maybe I should go over to West London and drive my child an hour and a half because he's doing a session with this Instagram coach.
Mr. Payne, what's his name? Jamie Lawrence.
Yeah. So you get caught up in it, don't you? You get caught up in it, you know? And don't get me wrong, there are good coaches. Jamie Lawrence, one of the best in the game. But at 7 years old, I was getting caught in that echo chamber of like trying to put together a formula for my child's career. You know, I stopped looking at the smile on his face, right? When he didn't care if he made a mistake, you know? Or like he would exaggerate the skill he's done and I'd be familiar, but you lost the ball though. Shut up, Damian. He's 7 years old and I'm more worried about like than him enjoying the game. So yeah, Mike, I had to take an honest look at myself, and I got to the point now when especially like academy fixtures, I'd just go for a walk or stand on the other end with the supporters of the other team to watch the game, just to drown out the noise, you know?
Yeah, I definitely, like I was coaching my boy and I was horrendous to him. Like he would score 5-6 goals a game. He was the main goal scorer. If he weren't scoring goals, I'd pull him off. I'd have a go at him. What's wrong with you? Like it was bad. It was bad. If there was a camera crew filming me from when he was at his young age and watching me, I'd watch it back now through like with a pillar over my head. I'd be ashamed, right? But the point where it kind of changed for me a little bit, especially my coaching, because I coach a team as well. I coach a under-10s team. My boy plays in it, and we've got a really good team. And I coach it, and the part where it changed me was a few years back is I was quite shouty as a coach. And I wasn't shouty as inspiring. I'd just be shouting, pass it, like, come on, work harder, right? Nowadays, I'd get into the kids if they're not working hard. I don't care what they do on the pitch, but if they're not putting effort in, then I will say to them after time, I'll say to them, that's not good enough. That's not the standard you've set for yourselves and us. We need to work harder, right? But I will never, ever moan or say anything. I let them make their decisions on the pitch. And this is what I've learned from making a mistake. But it was just one time when I realised I'd become that guy. I just shouted at him and I pulled my boy off. I went, go, and he's crying. I was, go and sit over there. You ain't playing football anymore. Right? And then about a couple of minutes later, the coach next to me started shouting at his kid. And I looked at him and I thought, Jesus Christ, man, like, that's a bit hard, isn't it? And all of a sudden, this voice in my head went, it's a mirror, my son. That's a mirror. That's a mirror. You're worse than that. And that's when I kind of went, yeah, this needs to change. So we've all been there, right? I think the main thing is that, I mean, is that self-awareness and that reflection. And it's like, okay, that's not where I want to go. And this is what I want to do. And I'm getting caught up in something, you know. I often said I was the Poundland version of Antonio Conte on the sideline, jumping up and down like a madman. Do you know what I mean?
I get it, though. I, as a manager and as a coach, I've not gone on that journey, right? But as a father, what do I want my child? It's his journey. Do I want him to be a little bit, would I take him being a little bit behind and making mistakes, but smiling and enjoying it enough to continue the journey? Or do I want him dominating but playing with a level of anxiety because his dad's so judgmental and not playing like himself and not having his own identity? So it's me. Now it's me. Now I've got to ask myself that. Am I prepared to see my child not dominate but enjoy himself with the principles of working hard but with his own character? Or do I scream and shout everything and I'm like, run, jump, da 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 da? No. I'm going to let him be himself, right? I'm going to drive home. I'm going to make sure he's fit. I'm going to drive home good principles. Working hard's key, you know, reflect that. As he gets older, gets closer to being an adult, I'm going to probably have more influence and probably share my opinion more. But 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, man, fucking hell, bro. Like, sorry for swearing, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Mike? Like, what we doing?
Yeah.
What we doing?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. What do you, so as we're kind of wrapping this up now, man, like, what do you feel, I'd love to get your take, what you feel is the biggest, like, when it comes to academies and stuff like that, what do you see the biggest challenges are? Like, the top 3 things that you feel gets in the way of the footballer or the biggest challenge they face, what do you think they are?
But first and foremost, what you said, right, is the other people's opinions becoming the child's and the parents' ideas. I think that's the biggest one. Like, whether you're going into an academy or going to a coach, going into all these spaces and hearing people's opinions and then becoming your reality. You're not good. This is how you should play. And then for the next 6 to 12 months, in focusing on building your child or yourself around that. I think that's a massive issue. The game is forever changing. There is a gazillion formulas, a million ways to skin a cat, you know, and it should be personable.
Yeah, it's what we spoke about last week, when it like 1 + 1 doesn't equal. Yeah.
So your kid might not be athletic, might be short. You can't let other people's ideas and opinions become your reality. So I think that's number 1. Number 2 is the obsession with being an academy footballer as opposed to the obsession with playing football. You know, being completely like submerged in playing football as opposed to just going on an academy journey. And number 3 is expectations. You said it, like getting released from a Cap 1 or not being the best player in the group. Again, parents can see that as a way to like, oh, he's not good at football no more, or children might comparison against a Chelsea player or Arsenal player might be like, I'll never be able to catch them, right? That's just simply not true, man. Harry Kane was on the verge of being sold by Tottenham to a championship club, you know.
So there's a trophy shop in where I live in Benfleet, where I get my trophies from, and the wife and the husband are in there. Their boy used to play for Millwall, was a goalkeeper at Millwall, and you go in there and they've got like an old program from when the boys all played county football, and he showed it to me. I was talking to him once. He showed it to me. He said, "Look," he said, "all these players on there, right, in the first team playing." He said, "Hardly any of them went on to play professional football." He said, "Look who's on the bench." It was Harry Kane on the bench. He said, and Harry Kane was only there, really. This is what he said. True it was. He said his mum was in the know-how. His mum was very vocal, and she had some connections, and that's how he got into the county team, and he was on the bench. He said, but he never really played. He said, if you looked for all of those players, he said he would have been the last one that you would have thought that had gone on to do what he's done now for football.
Yes.
Says everything.
That's why the obsession with football has to become before the obsession with academy, because that's what keeps you going, Mike. That's what keeps you going. When the chips are down, the money's not what you thought it'd be. That's what gets you in the park finishing or crossing, you know.
It's the obsession, like what I see with you, with what you do now, because now you help fathers to get in shape. I see that. There's an obsession for you. You love that. That's your thing. You know, I do now. Like, I never, do you know what? I never focused on the money. I just focused on just getting really good at what I done and just helping people, you know. And that's the key. Is just become really good at football, become really good at thing, and the rest will sort itself out, you know.
That should be the theme to everyone, man. Like, just keep your head down. Just be good at football. Have you improved your passing? Like, oh, I'm not a good athlete. Okay, what can you do? Like, how's your touch? Like, have the best touch. Like, oh, I'm not that good at. Go, use the outside of your foot. Like, yeah, it's a bit of a conveyor belt at the moment. It's tough. We're overloaded with information, but between expectations being warped, the journey itself, and people's ideas and opinions forming young kids' realities, and the obsession over academy as opposed to football. Those are my three things that I would say like are the biggest hindrances. Love the game, man. Love the game.
Love the game.
Give yourself to the game, man. Be a student, man. Go and like kick the ball against the wall. Go and like listen. You grow up, man. Your testosterone will kick in. That you were slow, you'll be a bit stronger. You know, relax.
I think Jamie Redknapp, to finish it off, kind of like he says, if you're getting your kid up and forcing him to go football, he said forget about it. He says the ones that pack their stuff the night before, that want to go, they're ready for it. They're bugging you to take them football. He said they're the ones that yeah, okay, there's something there. You know, let's keep pushing. But it's the ones who, if you're nagging them, you'll keep going on at them. He says, like, forget about it. It becomes more about you than it does them. You know.
Absolutely, sir.
Damian, great to have you on, my friend. Where can people find you if they want to follow your journey, watching you kind of putting your boys through the ringer and getting them mentally tough? Where can people find you?
Yeah, to watch me abuse my kids, go to Super Dad, Super Dad Damo on Instagram. That's the best place, man. That's the best place.
Brilliant. Mate, I really appreciate you coming on, and it was really good chatting with you, buddy. Thank you.
Listen, Mike.